TikTok, the end of an era in the United States. Opening and context. Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about news that could literally change the future of social media as we know it. ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, has finally closed a deal to sell the platform's operations in the United States. And look, this isn't just another tech news story. This is a historic milestone involving geopolitics, billions of dollars, and of course, the digital lives of millions of people. Before we dive deep into the story, let me tell you something. Did you know that TikTok has over 170 million active users in the United States alone? That's almost half of the American population scrolling through short videos, dancing to trends, and consuming content every day. And now, all of this is about to change hands. But to understand this sale, we need to go back in time a bit. The origin of the problem. It all started back in 2020, when the Trump administration began raising red flags about TikTok. The concern: national security. The argument was simple but powerful. A Chinese company having access to the data of millions of Americans could represent a threat to the country's security. And it wasn't empty paranoia. Let's think about this together. TikTok collects an absurd amount of data. Location, behavioral patterns, preferences, contacts, even the time you spend watching each video. All of this feeds super sophisticated algorithms. And the big problem: under Chinese law, companies like ByteDance can be forced to share this information with the Chinese government. Imagine the potential of that. Data from politicians, military personnel, public officials, business people, all in the hands of a foreign government. The United States looked at this and said, "No, thank you." But it didn't stop there. TikTok became a gigantic cultural influence tool. Have you ever stopped to think about how trends are born there and within hours spread around the entire world? Music, fashion, political opinion, everything goes through TikTok. And whoever controls the algorithm controls what people see. And whoever controls what people see has immense power to influence behaviors and even elections. The legal battle. Then a real legal soap opera began. In April 2024, President Biden signed a law that basically gave ByteDance an ultimatum. Either sell TikTok's American operations, or the platform would be banned in the United States. The deadline? January 2025. And look at this interesting move by the American government. They didn't say, "We're going to ban TikTok." They said, "You have a choice, sell or leave." This is important because it avoids direct accusations of censorship or protectionism. It's like saying, "The door is open, but on our terms." ByteDance, of course, didn't accept this quietly. They filed lawsuits claiming the law violated the First Amendment, American freedom of speech. Their argument was that banning TikTok would be like censoring 170 million Americans who use the platform to express themselves. The courts went back and forth on this issue. There were judges siding with TikTok, judges siding with the government. It became a legal tug-of-war involving the country's greatest legal minds. And in the middle of all this, the deadline kept getting closer and closer. The deal and its details. And now we get to the crucial point. The deal. According to the information circulating, ByteDance has finally agreed to sell TikTok's American operations. But to whom? That's where it gets interesting. Several companies showed interest. Microsoft was one of the first to raise its hand back in 2020. Oracle was also in the game. There were even rumors that investors linked to Elon Musk could enter the race. We're talking about an operation that could be worth between $40 and $50 billion. That's a lot of money. But selling TikTok isn't like selling a corner store. There's a gigantic technical and strategic complexity here. TikTok's biggest asset isn't the servers or the offices. It's the algorithm. That magical algorithm that keeps you hooked for hours scrolling the screen, that knows exactly what you want to see even before you know it. And here comes the question: will China allow this algorithm to be sold? Because under Chinese law, recommendation algorithms are considered sensitive technology. The Chinese government needs to approve any transfer of this type of technology. It's like the United States said, sell or leave, and China responded, okay, but the heart of the operation stays with us. This is the big impasse that was probably resolved in the deal. Maybe American TikTok will operate with a different algorithm, developed in the United States. Maybe there were concessions from both sides. Or maybe ByteDance found a creative way to circumvent Chinese restrictions. Global implications. Now, you're probably wondering, what about the rest of the world? What happens there? Good question. Because TikTok isn't just American. There are over 1 billion users spread across the planet. And this American deal could create a dangerous precedent, or a necessary one, depending on your point of view. The European Union was already keeping an eye on TikTok with its strict data protection laws, the famous GDPR. India already banned TikTok in 2020 for national security reasons. Australia is debating similar measures. What we're seeing is a fragmentation of the global internet. This raises a deep philosophical question. Can the internet really be global when different countries have such different concerns about security, privacy, and digital sovereignty? Are we heading toward a future where each region will have its own version of platforms? For American content creators, this could change everything. Imagine you've built an audience of millions on TikTok. Suddenly, the platform changes ownership, changes algorithm, changes policies. Your content that was performing super well might simply stop working. People have lost jobs because of this. Small businesses that depended on TikTok to sell are panicking. And there's another side, competition. Instagram has always tried to copy TikTok with Reels. YouTube has Shorts. If American TikTok goes through a turbulent transition, these platforms could gain millions of users overnight. It's a golden opportunity for Meta and Google. The future of big tech. This TikTok case opens a gigantic precedent for big tech regulation. Because if the United States managed to force a foreign company to sell its operations for national security reasons, what's stopping other countries from doing the same? Imagine if China decided that Facebook or Instagram are threats and demanded that Meta sell its Chinese operations. Or if Europe decided that Google has too much power and needs to fragment. We're potentially seeing the beginning of a new era of digital nationalism. And this has enormous consequences. For users, it could mean fewer options, regionalized platforms, content that doesn't cross borders as easily. For companies, it means more complexity, higher operating costs, more difficulty scaling globally. But on the other hand, it could mean more data protection, more transparency, more accountability. Because when a company operates in multiple countries with different laws, it can play a game of lowest common denominator, doing only the minimum that the loosest law requires. With separate operations, each region can impose its own standards. The next few years will be crucial. We'll see if other Chinese platforms like Shine or Temu will face similar pressures. We'll see if American companies will suffer retaliation in China. We'll see how users react, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who decide where we spend our time online. Conclusion and final reflections. So, to summarize this whole story, ByteDance sold TikTok's American operations under pressure from the United States government. It's the end of a battle that lasted years, involving issues of national security, data privacy, geopolitics, and the future of the internet. But is it really the end? Or is it just the beginning of something bigger? Because what we're seeing here isn't just about TikTok. It's about who controls information in the digital age. It's about how far a government can go to protect its citizens versus how far private companies can operate freely. It's about nationalism versus globalization. It's about the tension between China and the United States manifesting in the digital field. And for you who are listening to me now, the question is, how does this affect your life? If you use TikTok, prepare for possible changes. If you create content there, diversify your platforms. If you're a business owner who uses TikTok to promote your business, have a plan B. But above all, stay alert. Because this TikTok story is a chapter in a much larger book being written right now about the future of the internet, privacy, freedom of expression, and power in the digital age. And one thing is certain, No matter who the new owner of American TikTok is, the world of social media will never be the same again. That's it, everyone. I hope you understood the dimension of what's happening. See you next time.